Well, hello again. Great day today. 70 degrees. I got to get out in the garage and do some work. I love working in those kinds of temperatures. I got an email this morning from a feller, and he sent me photographs of his Thunderbird, and he told me a little story about how he got it and that sort of thing. And he was on part number 71. He's been watching all the videos. Well, part 71 was a video that involved all the guys who sent me, or as it started out to begin with, a whole bunch of guys that sent me pictures of their Thunderbirds and their Thunderbird stories. And I guess that got him all pumped up, so he sent me pictures of his Thunderbird and his story, which is great. It's been, what, 3 years since we've had anybody even contact us about that. I always put them up in the videos, did the best job I could, and it was kind of refreshing to see another one pop up. I thought I had run out of Thunderbirds, actually, and, you know, people who had Thunderbirds that were subscribers. Anyway, so I'm going to go out and clean up everything in the garage and get started underneath that dash. And meanwhile, you watch this. Chris writes, "Hello, John. Greetings from Chris, Scarlett, and Birdie from Montana. We love your series and are up to number 71 now." Well, you've got a long way to go, Chris. "We were never really sure if Arkansas existed," he went on, "but now we're 90% convinced it does. We appreciate your sharing of your life along with the videos." The car. Back in 1965, my dad bought a red 1965 Thunderbird. He drove it a pretty long while, and then it ended up at the farm, where it remained a part of my life as I grew up. I always wanted to fix it up, but it didn't happen. Then a couple of months ago, and 40 years later, this 1966 found me. Man, oh man, here we go again. How swell it has been to work on her, along with you. Your voice is now 100% stuck in my head. Poor fella. You and I have constant daily arguments, oh gosh, about what parts need to be taken off and derusted, etc. I am constantly telling you, I know, John, I know. We'll always end up pissed and then go have a cup of coffee, and of course we're pals again. We're cut from the same cloth. How lucky we are to touch these grand vehicles and to put our own stamp upon something so elegant and timeless. You know, I really like that sentence. Thank you, sir, for the countless hours that you've thrown into sharing this project. I hope that each episode brings you a broad grin, as it does for all of us that watch. And just in case no one has told you, you, sir, are in fact an internet sensation. You see there? The voice in his head's already got him heading for the loony farm. Best regards, Christopher Scarlett, Birdie from Montana. I've got everything pretty much set up, but I still have a little bit more to go. I want to scope it out real good, make sure I know exactly what I'm doing before I go up there and start vacuuming around and brushing that bellows thing. I looked around, I can't even find those for sale anywhere. Okay, she's well lit up right now. Let me turn on another light to help. The more light, the better when you're doing something like this. And didn't help a whole lot. Mostly it's going to be the drop light. Anyway, I was picking the big stuff out of there. Found a nutshell. It's not an acorn. I don't know what it is. Look at it. Some kind of a nut. And tell me, somebody explain this one to me. How did rocks get up into there? Rocks. These are stones. Big ones. Weird, huh? Most of it's loose up there now. So what we're going to do is crank her up. And I'm just going to show you is you got to go gently, very gently when you do this. And you got to keep your suction nozzle at an angle like this. The idea is to take a brush, such as the one I have over here that's out of my reach now, of course. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to hold this like this, and I'm going to brush everything to it. You don't want to be sticking it down on here, you know. Up here it's not too bad. It's kind of hard, but when you get down this area here, boy, be very careful. For those of you who have to do this someday, no matter what kind of car you got, you know, 99% of what we have in this car, what I've been doing, is the same for any car. Doesn't matter what it is, Mustang, Cadillac, you know, whatever. All the things I've done so far pretty much pertain to every single car. So let's keep on rocking and rolling. Yeah, but first I'm going to go ahead and check out these vacuum motors. Well, as luck would have it, I don't have a hose as small as this one. Really tiny for that little thing. So I had to search around down here, and I found a piece that had broken off the vacuum control for the front of the dash. So I just lopped a little piece off the end of it and stuck it up in the tube here. It leaked a little bit, but then I cut it off and finally got a good seal right there. So let's stick it on there and see what happens. We're only going to take this up to about 7, maybe 7 to 9 PSI. I don't want to blow the diaphragm inside that thing if it's any good, so here goes. I get you a good focus here. Come on, camera. Come on, camera. There we go. Well, look at here. 7 pounds is holding. I'd say that one's good. You know, the previous owner might have been wondering why some of these dash vacuum controls wouldn't work. Check this one out. Look at good. The Mises done 8. Chumped on that one a little bit. Chumped right through it. Going to that valve there. Check that out, huh? All right, let's test this one. Well, that one's holding pretty good too. How about that? Now this one that I'm hooked up to, this baby right here, I believe is for the recirculation door, which is this thing down here. Let's find out. I'm just going to push this thing in with my thumb. Yeah, see, it operates. I'm pretty sure that's the recirculation door. Well, let's see if it's going to work. A little focus here. And of course not. It's no good. Bummer. Well, 2 out of 3 is not bad so far. I think there's another one floating around here somewhere. Yep, there it is down in there. It's just below and to the right of the steering wheel. Right down in there. Now there's a hose hanging from it. There's 2 hoses down there actually. I don't know what the second one's for. It's got a green wrapper on it. You can see it right there. Right there. It's just a loose vacuum hose hanging there with a green tape on it. But the one going to the valve is still on the valve, so let's get that off. The vacuum hose hooked to that one comes straight up from underneath, just like that. And it's got a yellow piece of tape on it. So we've got one with a yellow piece of tape connected to the vacuum motor, and the other one's just floating around here. Just floating. I don't know what it's doing. It comes off of something. It's got a green tape on it. Well, let's see what that one's like. Let's check out this one. It'd be nice if we had 3 out of 4 that were working, huh? Here we go. You sorry sucker. 50% failure rate. Oh well, 50% is better than 0, huh? Alright, let's move on to something I'm a little more comfortable with, but before we do, look at this vacuum hose. Got chewed on. I don't understand mice, you know, what do they get about? What's the big attraction to rubber and wire insulation? I guess it's rubber wire insulation. That one's chewed on. This one's chewed on. I don't know. They just use it to make a nest or something. I'm sure they don't eat it, and to stay alive for food intake. Well, here goes. I'm gonna try to clean as much as I can without tearing things up. Well, that looks pretty good so far. Now I needed to get it off and I couldn't figure out. It wouldn't come off. There's a lip here. But even so, you know, even after it went on over the top of the lip, there had to be a way to hold it on. And I'm thinking, you know, they had to make it so a guy at the dealership could get that thing off. I mean, there has to be a way. And I kept looking. There has to be a clip or something. And sure enough, here was the clip way down here at the bottom. I loosened it up, and the thing is getting ready to completely off. So let's get it done. Piece of cake, nothing to it. Once I got that clip off, boy, it just released the clamp. That metal thing inside all the way around came right on off. Now this is your air conditioning inlet. If you look down in there, you can see the coil. That'd be like the A coil, I guess, in your heater in your house. And it's controlled by this valve right here. When you move that door, that valve lever here goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So this is it. When you hit the old air conditioning on switch, it activates the vacuum, it opens that up and opens this door up and blows your nice cool air out into the car. So far we've identified what two of these do. This is your recirculation one, remember, recirculates the air, I think. This is your air conditioning. Got two more, I'm not really 100% sure what they do. And I don't know what this one does. Might have something to do with the I don't know. I have no idea what it does. That one or the one down there. I'll have to go take a look at Nick Pepe's video about this stuff. But right now I want to get this one off and this one off. I'm getting tired. I'll tell you what, I'm getting pooped out here. And once I get these two off, I'll do an evaluation. Do I want to stay out here and keep working or not? Well, this one didn't want to come off either. So this is where logic prevails. You know, you got a couple of hoses you got to get off. They don't want to come off. What could be the problem? Well, if there was a clip holding this one on, there's got to be clips holding these two on. Pure logic. I looked around, sure enough. Sure enough, way on the bottom. You couldn't even see the stupid thing. Still can't really. And there she be. Right there. Matter of fact, there's one on each end. I hadn't even noticed it. It was down in there like that, and I didn't even see it. It was on the bottom. This one just slipped right off when I took the dash out. Wasn't holding much, I guess. Same thing going to be over here, so let's get that one out. Well, number two is out. Clip was a little broken. Well, it really wasn't broken. It was bent to the point where you couldn't operate it too well. I straightened it out and was able to get it out. But look at there. Look, what do you see down there? Look at that. There is a mud wasp nest down in there. Look at that. Now, who'd have thought that, huh? All right, one more good vacuuming job, and then it's coffee time. All right, I think we'll wrap this one up here. Turns out this thing is not made of paper, it's made of cloth, which makes things a whole lot easier for further cleaning. All I have to do is I can wet it down, wash it, and let it dry. You know, I'm not going to use a lot of soap and crap like that. I'm going to try to use plain water. The other side really looks nice. Look at that. Isn't that great? So it's not as bad as it looked. It is pretty bad, but not like it looked. It'll be easy to patch it. So I may wind up using cloth to patch this with instead of those dryer cloths, because the dryer cloth is great, but it's better for radio speaker kind of material, not cloth. So I'll come up with something between now and then. So until next time, this is John.